Welcome to Girlfriends Bible Study, a live Bible study with Connie and friends. Each week, Connie and her girlfriends engage in a lively conversation as they read and study Scripture. So, grab a pen, your journal, and your best friend, and enjoy this enlightening Bible study.
Welcome to Bible Study Live with Connie and friends. It's good to see you guys. I've been gone a couple of weeks and I've missed you, but I will tell you the reasons I've been gone have been definitely worth it. So celebrating a friend who just acquired, she and her husband just acquired another business, and then being able to attend my great nephew's. He had a show on last Thursday and it was so adorable. He was in an acting camp and he did so great. And so it was really, 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 really great to see him and see my good friends Molly and Victor. And I know my hair is doing so many crazy things right now because I have my virtual background on. But it's still brighten it up in here. It's thunderstorming yet again, which I love. I have no problem with the thunderstorm, but it just darkens the room so much. So it doesn't matter how much I lighten it up. You'll see the darkness in it. So I decided to just do my bright and light and sunny virtual background. Anyway, we are talking tonight about who's in your ear. Who is in your ear? And I'm going to share a number of scriptures, just a couple of lines from the scriptures, and then some personal stories as I always do. This is such an important thing to think about. Who is in your ear? Who do you listen to? What voice is it that you hear? Is it a voice from your past that you've believed and then you repeat it? So now it sounds like it's in your voice, but it's not your words. It's words that you're repeating from someone else who told you something that you decided, or maybe didn't even decide, but didn't realize you had decided to believe. You didn't choose to believe it. You never realized you were making a choice to believe it, but you were. So who's in your ear? And then if it's good stuff, how much greater is that, right? Where somebody tells you something about yourself, something that makes you see something different in yourself, and you believe it and you act on it. And I'm going to tell you a story about that because there's a really, really powerful story that I watched recently. Let me just make a note so I don't forget to tell you, because it's so powerful. Honestly, it's one of those life-changing moments, and you guys can look it up for yourself. But we're going to get right into the scripture. And we're going to talk about, just like I said, a couple of lines from different scriptures, people who got in somebody's ear and just messed stuff up. And, when we start talking about this, we got to go back to the beginning, the beginning. So we're going to start in Genesis 3, verses 1 through 5. Got to start right at the beginning. Let me let my sister in. So hold on one second, guys, while I let my sister in. All right, there she is. Hi, sister. Welcome. So we're starting in Genesis chapter 3, verses 1 through 5. Who's in your ear is the topic of the day. Now the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord had made. He said to the woman, "Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden?" I mean, I could stop right there. Just, he said to the woman, did God really say? I have had people, including clients, I've had employees say when they decided to not do what they were told to do, they went to other employees and say, did Connie really say? I mean, do we really have to do what Connie's telling us to do? I mean, we don't really have to. They've admitted to me that they said that. Can you imagine? Anyway, did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden? The woman said to the serpent, we may eat fruit from the trees in the garden, but God did say, you must not eat from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it, or you will die. You will not surely die, the serpent said to the woman, for God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. Now, they knew who God was. They knew what God had provided. They knew they'd been created by him. What's this thing that gets to walk up to them and tell them something different? Who's in your ear? Who is in your ear? We're going to go next to Esther. We talked about this recently because we were talking about the story of Esther, but I just want to, oh no, I went somewhere else. I don't want to go there first. Hold on. Yes, I want to go to Esther, but I went to somewhere else by mistake. Hold on. Go to Esther. Go to Esther, chapter 5, verse 14, and then chapter 6, 12 through 14, and look at it. So this is Haman, right? This is the story of Esther and Haman and his messiness. And I'm always flabbergasted when I read this. So in Esther chapter 5, verse 14, it says, his wife Zeresh and all his friends said to him, have a gallows built 75 feet high and ask the king in the morning to have Mordecai hanged on it. Then go with the king to the dinner and be happy. This suggestion, who got in his ear, this suggestion delighted Haman, and he had the gallows built. One verse. His wife and all his friends said, you know what you should do? Then you skip over to the next chapter, chapter 6, verses 12 through 14. Afterward, not everything is gone awry, right? This whole thing, he's already gone out and had to honor Mordecai. Haman has. So it says, afterward, Mordecai returned to the king's gate, but Haman rushed home with his head covered in grief and told Zeresh, his wife, and all his friends everything that had happened to him. His advisors, which now they're calling his friends his advisors, right? His advisors and his wife Zeresh said to him, since Mordecai, before whom your downfall has started, is of Jewish origin, you cannot stand against him. You will surely come to ruin. Now they done backtrack. First it was build the gallows. Do it. Hang him on it. Get the king to co-sign. Now it's, oh yeah, see. My name is Bess, right? They just backed out. While they were still talking with him, the king's eunuchs arrived and hurried Haman away to the banquet Esther had prepared. Messy, as my baby would say, messy boots. It's messy boots. But he let his friends get in his ear. And then by the time they had some sense, it was too late. It was too late. His whole little situation was unraveling. So I read those, but I will give honorable mention to Jezebel, who got in her husband's ear. Michal or Michelle, David's wife. Remember when he came, he was carrying the ark and he danced before the Lord, danced out of his clothes, and she's like, I can't believe you out there dancing like a fool. You need to have some sense about yourself. And I mean, just went off. And he said, I will do this and more. He was like, you're not going to get in my ear, woman. Good job. Good job, David. But Michal, what you doing? Jezebel, we already know. Job's friends, curse God and die. You better curse God and die. Let me tell you what you need to do. Here's what you need to do. You better curse God and die. Seriously? Seriously. And Delilah, you know how she's just wrapped Samson all around her finger, just, but Samson, you should tell me. And ooh, Samson, ooh. And he just listening. Just, ooh, I like the way she says it to me. Lied to her 3 times, but just to keep getting some more. And then finally told her the truth, and that was his downfall. Pitiful. Pitiful. I'm just saying. That's pitiful. And quick. People are quick to listen to somebody saying some stuff. Some mess. Some mess. Okay. So I wanted you also to read with me Matthew chapter 16, verses 21 through 23, because I was thinking about this one a lot too. Let's see if it's this one. No, it's before that one. I put bookmarks in so I can turn quickly. I bought a bunch of them, so I have them handy. All right. This one says, never let the odds keep you from pursuing what you know in your heart you were meant to do. Yes. Don't let somebody get in your ear. That's basically what that says. I think that's what that says. But in Matthew chapter 16, verses 21 through 23, this is Jesus himself. And now, for those of you who don't know, Peter, John, and James were like his ace boon coons. They were like super close to him. Those were his like three boys. The 12 were there. Judas was a hot mess, but three of them were super close. Peter is even the one who walked on the water for a minute, and then he sank. So this is the thing: when you're thinking about who's in your ear, think about their character. Do they have faith? Are they hearing from God? Or when things get rough, are they like, whoa, who are they? Like, think about, okay, it's not just, does this person have my best interest at heart? Because their perception of best interest at heart might be different than yours or different from the Lord's. So in this situation, Peter calls himself having Jesus's back. He's not trying to speak against Jesus. He's like, that's my boy. That's Jesus. And yet, so, Matthew chapter 16, verse 21 says, from that time on, Jesus began to explain to his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things at the hands of the elders, chief priests, and teachers of the law, and that he must be killed, and on the third day be raised to life. Peter took him aside. Hey, boy, let me talk to you a minute. Okay, home dude, come. He took him aside. Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. You know, he did two-finger rebuke. What you talking about? Never, Lord. He said, this shall never happen. What you talking about? Build him up. You're not going to do that. Jesus turned and said to Peter, get behind me, Satan. It's got an exclamation mark, y'all. You are a stumbling block to me. You do not have in mind the things of God, but the things of men. He wasn't trying to make him feel bad, but he couldn't let him get in his ear. Jesus came with a purpose. He knew what his purpose was. He knew what it was. And that person trying to get in your ear when you know what your purpose is, they may seem to have your best intentions or your best interest at heart. But if they don't know what your purpose is, and you know that, you look at Peter and his track record, he could have a little bit of faith and then he would start to sink. Like, you have to think about, who's the person that's getting in my ear? Is this somebody who's like, I'm going to walk on the water. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to stay on it. Or is it somebody like, I'm sinking now. Like, you have to think about who it is. Because he knew that Peter was his boy. He knew Peter loved him. He was like, you know what? I know you think you're saying the right things. Get behind me, Satan. Because you trying to sow doubt into my purpose. And I can't allow that. And so from just a personal standpoint, in terms of well-meaning friends and loved ones, romantic interests, I've had guys say to me, why do you have to work so hard? Why can't you just, take a break? Don't you want to relax? Don't you want to retire? Why are you? Thank you. I know you're saying yes, but really, just like you said, you got things of man, especially that man, on your mind. You don't have purpose on your mind. You're busy trying to get yours. No, thank you. I remember when I was mid-20s when I lived in DC the first time. And I had this girlfriend here, a good friend I'd met out somewhere. And she would say to me, you're grown. You need to be, doing your thing, getting yours, getting some one night stands. I know you've never had a one night stand, but you're grown. Excuse me. I don't need you in my ear. Number one, no thank you. Yuck, as my sister will tell you. Why you gonna let somebody do something to you when you won't even share a bowl of cereal with them? Come on now. And you talk about some stranger. Come on now. I don't even want to share a spoon with you. And you talk about putting your body part in mine. No, thank you. I'm not going to let you get in my ear because I'm grown. I'm grown and sexy. I can get my... No, thank you. No, get out of my ear. Get out of my ear. I don't want to hear it. Get out of my ear. All right. Now, here's the other thing. It seems to me with many people, it's so easy to have, your friends or whomever come and get in your ear with some negative stuff. And it can be anything. just even from like a personal standpoint, again, I try to share the personal stories because I've walked this walk, right? It might be a doctor. And, my sister knows the doctors gave me doom and gloom at age 10. It was like, you better shut it down. That's what you need to do. Don't try to work. You can't have kids, no exercise. By the time you're 18, go on disability. By the time you're 21, you'll be in a wheelchair. You better just shut it to wrap. And I could have let that just get in my ear. I could have hung the disability shingle around myself and just embraced it. Because sometimes it's people like that's their job. They're looking at these test results and that's what they're supposed to say. And often, whether it's somebody of authority like a doctor or somebody like that, somebody you consider smarter than you or role model, whatever, they say it, you believe it. If they're a billionaire, oh, they said it. You know what Oprah said, and I love Oprah. Y'all know, I work for her, love her, but she's not God. But somebody who doesn't know her, doesn't even have a relationship with her, you know what she said? She's a billionaire. She should know. She should know for her, but for her to, she don't know you. She's not talking. What? But we will take their authority over God's. And I wanted to show you a little bit of this in Exodus 3. So when God came to Moses and he was like, okay, here's what's going to happen. I'm anointing you. You're going to go free the people, free the Israelites, go to Egypt, tell Pharaoh, blah, blah, blah. What do we do? What do we do when God tells us something? Serpent says, did God really say? You believe it. Somebody else says, oh, you know what you should do? You believe it. God comes up to you. Now, you done seen the burning bush. You've already seen a miracle. It's happened right in front of you. And here's God talking to Moses. And it's chapter 3, verses 9 through 14. He says, and now the cry of the Israelites has reached me, and I have seen the way the Egyptians are oppressing them. So now go, I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. If I see a burning bush and then God comes and he tells me, here's what I'm sending you to do, I'd be like, okay. Like, I mean, honest, I would. I know most wouldn't, because not even Moses, who's written about right at the top of the Bible, that's not his response. You're going to see in a second. But I will tell you, from the miracles I've witnessed and the times I've heard God's voice, if my wall suddenly turned into a pillar of fire and he was like, I am God, and I'm telling you this is what you're going to do next, I would be like, and yet we'll believe serpent, right? You go eat that apple or whatever the piece of fruit was. All right. So, but Moses said to God, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? He didn't say that. That's not what he just said. I'm sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people. I'm sending you to bring my people. It's not who are you. I am the sender. He didn't listen to any of that. So he says, so who am I? Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? And God said, I will be with you. And this will be the sign to you that it is I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this mountain. Moses said to God, suppose I go to the Israelites and say to them, the God of your fathers has sent me to you, and they ask me, what's his name? Then what should I tell them? I love this line, so this is why I kept it in. This is why I'm talking about it tonight, because it's so powerful. God said to Moses, this is in all caps, I am who I am, period. This is what you are to say to the Israelites. I am has sent me to you. That's powerful. He is the I am. Tell him I am said so. The parents, tell him I said so. Daddy said, all that. I am sent you. But it kept going. Moses still was just, I don't speak very well. Maybe I could. Whoa, child. And yet somebody else could get in his ear and he could be like, oh, you know what? Because they did. Those people down there, they're like giants. And we're like insects. We're like grasshoppers. And they're like giants. And then they believe that mess. Seriously? Anyway, I'm not going to read that part because that part just frustrates me. Anyway, so the last two are just encouragement scriptures. One is in Romans 10:17, just to remind us, consequently, faith comes from hearing the message, and the message is heard through the word of Christ. Or, as it says in the King James Version, so then faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. It's powerful. That's what you're supposed to have in your ear. You're supposed to know the word of God. That's where your faith comes from. It's not from somebody else telling you what you can or cannot do. Faith comes by hearing, so be careful what you listen to, but hearing by the word of God. The message of God is what we're supposed to be meditating on. And then I really like Galatians 5, verse 7 and 8. It says, you were running a good race. Who cut in on you and kept you from obeying the truth? That kind of persuasion does not come from the one who calls you. That's powerful. You were doing good, and then somebody got in your ear. Who is in your ear? And so, I made a list of some that might be in your ear, have been in my ear. Bullies. Bullies have been in my ear. Cruel teachers, bad bosses. I remember one of my bosses, when I finally did get married and pregnant, my boss told me, I was hoping you'd have a miscarriage. That could have gotten in my ear. Instead, I was like, oh, you can speak to the hand. She was so, when I started having complications, she told me she was happy because she was hoping I would have a miscarriage. I could have let that get in my ear. And instead, I just put that wall up. And then, as I mentioned, some of the well-meaning friends, and I know that, they think they're well-meaning, but they're thinking of things of man, not things of God, not purpose. But there's some positive people that have been in my ear too, and I want to acknowledge two specifically tonight. One of them is somebody who believed in me before I even believed in myself, and that was my Aunt Trudy. And she would tell me all the time, you don't have to be shy. You have something to say. I was like, I can't help it. You can't help it. I can't help it. You can't help it. I can't. You can't. And I mean, she just stayed there. You have something to say. You need to say it. You can't help it. You can help it. And she just kept telling me and kept telling me. And at some point, I believed it. And then when I went through a really difficult time, after having believed in myself and having done so much, and then I tumbled backwards down the mountain, and I stopped believing in myself. But she had seen me when I did believe in myself. My friend Rosa, she would just call me and say, come on, let's go to dinner. And I'd just be sitting there blubbering, just crying. And she's like, I know you're hurting right now. But, I still believe in you. And I was like, why? Why do you believe in me? I'm a mess. I'm sleeping. Like, I didn't have a home at the time. Sleeping on people's couches in their spare room. I was sleeping in the spare room with somebody who hated me. Sleeping on a couch of someone I should not have been sleeping on their couch. That's all I'll say. And I just was scared, and I'd fallen, and it was just horrible. And she was like, yeah, I know. But that's going to pass because I believe in you. Period. I'm a Connie fan. I believe in you. And I'm just waiting for you to get back up. And I'm like, I don't know if I can ever get back up again. You can. And she believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself. When I'd stopped believing in myself. And there are times still. Now, there's a whole list of people now who will help me. When I start to dip a little bit, they'll give me words of encouragement and all of that. It's not just those two. But those two, in my darkest times, could only see light. And I don't know how. And I'm so thankful that there are those people and that I can be those people, that person for somebody else. That's a blessing. So, the scripture, out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks, and as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. You need to remember that And this, the quote, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. All of that is true because that's your ear. Who's in your ear? Is it your voice? Is it God's voice? Is it some voice from the past? Like really thinking about what's in your ear. So the story I promised to share with you, and I don't know if my sister has seen this. So, Gina, I'm going to bring you on camera while I talk about this, and you can tell me if you've seen it. Um, there's this video of this guy who he he's telling the story about this guy who was a real bad student, and he was failing high school, just failing, just doing poorly in high school, and then he took the ACT or the SAT. I think he took the SAT, and his numbers were off the charts. Like they were so good to the point where he was like, "Wait, I'm smart." Like it. He was so surprised. His mother asked him, "Did you cheat?" Like she couldn't even believe it, and he said, "I didn't." And she was like, "So you're smart. Like, do you see you're really smart?" From that moment of seeing those test scores and realizing, wait, that I gotta do better. Like if I'm smart, then I have to do better. He started doing better, and he did better in school. He got into college, started doing better in college. Ended up, I think he got a scholarship and did the thing, and ultimately graduated with bachelor's degree. Maybe even got his master's. But now he's like this business mogul, and owns. I want to say for some reason it seems like he owns a publication company, like a magazine empire kind of thing. And years later, 10 years later, let's say, after he already started making millions, they do random go back through, look at scores because it's just part of their process for SAT. And he got a letter saying that he had gotten the wrong score, that wasn't his score. His score was just as low as the regular high school grades had been. They were very, very low. But because he saw that number that had him in the top percentile, the voice in his ear changed. And when it changed and he said, "I am smart. I got to pull it together if I'm smart. Like, what am I doing?" It changed everything, changed his trajectory. And because it changed his trajectory, even finding out that those scores were wrong, it just showed him how I see myself is what determined me getting to where I am. And because I believed I was smart, I got smarter. And thinking about that, thinking about what you believe about yourself, what voice is in your ear, whether it's your positive voice or a negative voice from your past, or maybe a negative voice because you, for whatever reason, don't believe whatever about you. Who's in your ear? What are they saying? Are they saying positive, life affirming, purpose affirming, love affirming, self love affirming things? Or are those voices saying, "You'll never amount to anything, George, you'll never amount to anything"? Like, what are they saying? What are they saying? Who are you listening to? And if you have the wrong friends, even the ones that you really love, and they mean well, but every time I've got family members that are distant family members, but oh, how are things going? I haven't talked to you. So, how's your back? Are you in pain? Do you hurt? And I'm just like, you know what? I can't with you right now. And I know that they mean well. They're not trying to be mean. They mean well. But I can't keep that in my ear. I can't keep that in my ear. When I started having friends tell me, "Oh, you need to be wrapped in bubble wrap." I'm going to have you ixnay on the bubble wrap. I need you to say, "Connie, that was your last fall." that's all you can say. Not, wrapped in bubble wrap so you can fall as often as you want to. No, thank you. No. So, and I try to do the same. Even when I'm worried about people I love, there's some telling the truth. That's one thing. But just how was your day? Was it okay? Just, nope. I'm expecting a good day. This was fun. I love talking to you. What's going on now? What happened? Excitement. Like, it can be contagious, and we just have to be careful, not only with what we let in our ear, but also what we speak and what we put in somebody else's ear. So, that's my question for you all tonight. Who's in your ear? Gina knows I'm in her ear. I'm Gina's biggest fan. I am a Gina fan, and she knows that. You do know that, don't you?
I know that.
I always have questions. What happened next? Did you do the thing? Did you promote it? What'd you say? Did you get an award? And Gina's just like, brother.
You need maracas. Get the maracas.
Exactly. Get the maracas. Absolutely. You did what in the yard? You did. Okay, good. Let me see it. Send me a picture. And Gina's like, it's not really that great. Yes, it is. Just constant. And even at work, she'll do something, and I'll know the whole story. Okay, so I know that you did this, so and then that happened, then that happened. So how did it resolve? And then she'll tell me, and I'm like, yes. It's you know, it was a team effort. It was you. It was all you. She was like, it wasn't all me. There was she did a great team at the state of downtown Durham or whatever. There's a presentation, and Gina was like, just doesn't, I need some life. I just need some oomph. Like the logistics are there. Everything is check marked. The boxes are checked, but it just needs some heart. And Gina and I brainstormed a little bit, and she came up with, you know what? I know what I'm going to do. I have an idea. Let me see if I can pitch it. She pitched it. She pitched it again. She trained some more. She trained a third and fourth time. It worked. Went off without a hitch. People were into it. So then afterwards, here I am like, woo! Yes, yes. Gina's like, it wasn't just me counting. It was all of us. I'm like, no, it was you. It was you. So yes, I am Gina's biggest fan. And I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not.
I was thinking about you talking about your doctors. Um, these experts, they pretty much told you to curse God and die. They kind of did.
They did.
They kind of did.
They did.
It was bad. And then, of course, talking about it, the example of people who tell you you can't, or maybe just don't tell you you can. But then there are the people who, like Peter, tell you you can't when you're struggling with something that's hard, but you have to do it. And then, or struggling with something that's hard, but you shouldn't do it. And then you have those friends who will tell you, you deserve to be happy. You deserve it when you're like, I know I shouldn't be doing this thing, and but you deserve to be happy. You need self-care, me time, take the thing, do the thing. And those things are not in and of themselves wrong. But
when you know something,
mm-hmm.
yeah, got to be careful who you let in your ear.
You do. And those friends, I understand, they just want you to be fine, to feel good, to be happy. And
like Haman's friends, you should build a gallows.
well, yeah, his friends like egged him on into all the terrible things, but
and then immediately backed out.
Right, exactly.
But that's, to me, Gene, I've seen a lot of the friends who are like, you deserve to be happy, and then you're like, you're right, I'm gonna chunk it all, and they're like, ooh.
Right. Or I'm gonna sleep with this married man. And then they're like, and when it goes poorly, yeah, I was gonna say, I was I wasn't sure that was gonna do the thing, but but I wanted you, I thought you should be happy. And
right.
We know people who are in relationships where they never say no to the other person. That's their way of showing love. It's to give them everything that they say they want,
whether it's good for them or not.
It's good for them or not. Yeah. So
it is interesting. Place.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah.
When you know what you know, and either people are not encouraging you, and we have to pay attention. Like you said, you really have to pay attention to the person and who they're getting their words from. Who they're getting their words from, because sometimes you may think this is a thing, I need to do this thing, and somebody will come to you and say, you don't really need to do that thing. And you may be thinking, you need to get behind me, Satan, because but if you know that person to be of good judgment and strong in their faith, then you might just need to be like, wait, hold on. Maybe I do need to, the person in your ear is not the person that's going to tell you what you want to hear all the time,
right?
As you pointed out. But it takes discernment for sure.
It does. It really does. It really does. It's funny, as I talked about the romantic relationships, the guys that start with, are you going to even have time for me? You're not it. You're not it. Not because I won't, but the fact that that's your priority, you're not it.
Because you're telling me to stop doing what I need to be doing, basically.
Yep.
Is what that means. Why
Thinking
you work
about
so
being the
hard?
man instead of things. Yeah, you're not it. And, sorry, not sorry.
Well, what I've found, if you need something done, you ask somebody who's busy.
Right.
Mm.
Yep.
As people who are so and so, she seems to have a lot of time on her hands. That is by design. Do not attempt
To
to give somebody
encroach.
right, or to give somebody who does not choose to fill their time with things like that. That there's a reason for that. You don't. You're not gonna. Oh well, she's got time. No, you go to the person who's got 14 things on their list, and just scouting around for that 15th, and then.
It's true. Had you heard about that SAT guy? Did I have you read
I
that book?
have. I heard about it from you.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
it's
so good.
interesting. That perception, and I've heard other studies about African American boys in particular, and how they're not given that encouragement, and they don't even know that they're smart, and they're not, and often are put in, even when they show promise, are not put in those accelerated courses and on those tracks. So self-fulfilling prophecy, really. I guess I'm smart. I guess I need to act like.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Isn't that
powerful.
interesting? I know, and his mom too was like, I told you were smart.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You didn't cheat? Oh, shoot. See? I knew you could do better.
Mm-hmm.
Knew it. Knew you had it in you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
But those low expectations can also be, deadly.
Mm-hmm.
Deadly. I knew that I wanted for my children spouses who understood what they were capable of. And that doesn't mean necessarily, getting the high-powered job or whatever, but understood what kind of person they were and they are, and what they're capable of doing, and it's important.
It really is. It really is. And it's important for us as we choose our spouses and as our spouses choose us. Like, you want them to know that. Otherwise, I mean, I have learned I'd rather be single than not have that.
Oh yeah.
And I want to be married again, but not without that.
No.
Not if I couldn't have that, I wouldn't want to be married. Marriage wouldn't be fulfilling, number one. But also, if I knew, well, I got to dumb it down, because he doesn't see me that way, and he's, how come you're
Or
always
I have to do it in spite of
or
his
do it in spite? Yeah.
low expectations for me, or his
Ugh,
why that, right? That's just a weight around.
I was gonna say it just chips away at your spirit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not doing it. Anyway, that's tonight's message, everybody. Thank you for joining. Thank you for tuning in to Bible Study Live with Connie and friends. And tonight it's friend and sister. So sister, friend, friend, sister, blood sister, in case anybody's wondering. Yes, she is my blood sister.
They always ask, is
I
that your
know.
real
Is
sister?
she your blood sister? That's my
We
real.
sound exactly alike. Like we
Right.
sound exactly alike.
Yep. She is my real sister. And I love her. And I'm her biggest
Love
fan.
you too, little sister.
All right, we're going to stop live stream.